and welcome back to another episode of POKO? POKO?
The POKO podcast, let's go!
Pokemon one-hit KO?
I say we keep it.
Alright, welcome to OHKO, a Pokemon VGC podcast. I've been broadcasting all weekend. You got to give me a pass for this one, but alright, I lost the train of thought already. Okay, welcome to OHKO. Milwaukee this weekend, Belo Horizonte this weekend, GC just happened, a lot to talk about. I'm Sierra, here with my co-host Joe. Hello.
I think you crushed it, first of all.
Thank you.
Your brain is fried from like 500 hours of GC gameplay this weekend. I'm sure there was like crazy things, so credit to you and the whole team and TJ and all the casters, and we'll definitely get into that, but like there was a very important conversation we were having right before we started recording about your favorite type of drink to start your podcast adventure here today.
Yes, I was about to tell everything about this to Joe Brown, and then I was like, wait, I need more people to know this, but iced tea, and you might be like, Sierra.
Wait a second.
Iced tea.
Okay, let me write this down. Iced tea.
But hear me out. It's cold brew tea. So a lot of iced teas, you brew them hot, you add ice, add sugar, etc., anything else, which then makes the tea just like more bitter. Normally, hot brewing a tea brings out the bitterness, etc., as well can destroy some nutrients from my understanding. But let me introduce you to cold brew tea. So I bought 2 glass pitchers. I have a green tea cold brewing in one and a herbal orange tea in the other. You literally throw the tea bags in, throw some water in, some just lukewarm cold water, and throw it in the fridge for 12 hours. It can sit in there for 3 days, but the tea has no bitter taste. It's super, super refreshing, and it brings out like the inherent sweetness of any teas. And so it's just really good if you just want to cut out sugary drinks. It's like the orange tea that I have has such a nice like sweetness to it, and there's no sugar or anything. And then, so normally a pitcher lasts me 2 days, which is normally as long as you would want to have a cold brew tea in the fridge before like the taste is a little off. And then I take the tea bags out. You can even apply them to your under eyes if you're like that type of like skincare like person out there, because the caffeine is good for under eye bags.
It's multi-purpose cold brew.
Exactly. But then you put more tea bags in the tea, throw some water in there, throw it back in the fridge, and you like overnight you're set. So
yeah, don't use the same eyeball tea bags, use some new ones.
Yeah, different ones. But and then I have a little bowl in the fridge if like I just don't really want to put the tea bags on my eyes that day. That's where all the tea bags go. So then like it's essentially free eye care stuff at that point. But yeah, I'm telling you, anyone out there that's just like, oh, I kind of maybe like tea, or oh, I want to get rid of pop, or like something else. I'm telling you, this is such a good life hack.
You're a trendsetter, so I think somebody in the Discord is definitely going to give it a shot.
Someone has to. Like I'm telling you, like
you can't be the only one benefiting from the iced tea cold brew out here.
Dude,
you're letting people know.
Green tea is so good for you, and it's no caffeine crash. You drink throughout the day. Once we get to about 5 o'clock, I switch to the herbal orange tea. You can do any type of herbal tea. It just tastes so good. So yeah,
OHKO is the opposite of gatekeeping. We're trying to bring people in on the secrets. Yeah,
we could have just dived right into Pokemon, but I had to make sure that we went live so I could tell everyone about the tea first. So
I agree.
So yeah, now that everyone knows the tea trick, and maybe I'll post a picture of the pitchers, like the picture, like you snapped out
You're on
of pictures,
today.
like the stuff on tea. No, I just like English is confusing. Why do we have the same word for it? Whatever. But maybe I'll post a picture of the tea pitchers in the Discord. So yeah.
Are you going to bring your cold brew with you to Milwaukee this weekend? There we go. That's a segue.
I will not. I will be bringing my matcha, though, instead. I will not bring the cold brew teas. Though I could bring the tea bags and just throw it in a water bottle in the hotel fridge overnight. That could.
She's thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. I might actually. That might actually just be a really good call. But yeah, Milwaukee Regionals this weekend. So I will be attending. I will be the host. So I'll be doing all the interviews, everything. That means I'll be flying in. Normally, this would mean I'd fly in the Thursday to do content on the Friday, but instead I'm flying in at 8 a.m. on the Friday and then do the content all day. But I'm excited. It should be fun.
Yeah, no, I think it should be fun. I mean, I'll be watching at home. I'm bummed because Milwaukee, I've said so many times, is one of my favorite cities that we get to travel to. We were literally just there back in May, right? So the fact that it was one of the last, 2025 regionals, and then one of the first 2026 season regionals. We don't really have that happen too often in our circuit, so like that's pretty cool that it's coming back up. And you'll have to enjoy the cheese curds without me.
I'm sorry. I'll make sure to. I'm not normally a cheese curd eater, but I will get an order at some point. What was that thing we got
at the It wasn't a mall. It was like a marketplace. It was like
the foot long mozzarella stick. Yeah, I didn't even eat that. I bought that for Ugarte, who tried to then eat through all of that with Tang, and I don't think they made it. I don't think they accomplished it.
I don't think they got there.
But Joe, Ugarte loves mozzarella sticks, and it's like the world's largest or something. I don't know. It was world famous, something extraordinary. So yeah, got that. But it'll be interesting for Milwaukee. It's interesting that you say it's like one of your favorites, because I know there has been talks about the fact that Milwaukee is just a little bit more expensive to be traveling to. I mean, when you're looking at outside of those major cities, I mean, there's a lot of people that are going into Chicago. I know a player that's going into Chicago to then take an Uber, which at least they're splitting it, which is good, but like that's expensive. So things like that. But besides like the traveling and the cost things, like Milwaukee has been pretty good. Like I miss Madison still. I understand we've outgrown Madison, but like Milwaukee's been pretty decent. So I'm excited.
And Milwaukee continues to get the what you wish Toronto got treatment of a cold city that gets to be visited in either spring or early fall instead of the winter, right? Because Toronto gets stuck in December and January every year. Meanwhile, Milwaukee gets to be like 60 degrees and breezy and like perfectly fine, no snow, no anything. Like imagine if we went to Milwaukee in January, that'd be rough.
Right? I mean, it'd be just as rough. Like we'll get to live that later on in the season, but yeah, but for some reason, and I don't know why, but I'm thinking because we're going to a place that does get cold, but going to a non-cold part, more so the fall, like it'll be very seasonal. Like I'm anticipating like places will have like apple ciders and like fall foods and pumpkin everything. Like I don't know. I don't even know what Milwaukee will, but like I'm assuming like that would be the vibe, right?
That thing 100% with all like the meats and stuff, they're definitely going to have some autumnal themed, things. You just got to worry. You just got to make sure that one guy, you don't order from that one place again. Remember where you just refused to, we tried to get the meats and we had to go somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. So this marketplace that we went to last year, everyone, I don't know why.
This is like a really important story, everybody. Listen up.
Yeah. We'll talk about Pokemon in a moment, right? This is the week apparently of just us yapping with a little bit of Pokemon. I don't know. But we went to this one place and it was like barbecue, stuff like that, right? And it wasn't a sit-down place. There was the little bar people could sit down, but it was intended mostly to walk up to the till and order, right? So me and Joe Brown walk up to the till to order. And the guy is just doing everything in his power to ignore us and take care of the people at the 5-seat bar instead, including people that sat down after, and it's just completely ignoring us, right? So take forever. Finally, he comes around and takes Joe Brown's order, which is an order for one person.
Yeah, there was nothing special about it. It was just like a normal one-person order.
Yeah, because we're ordering separately, right? So he takes the order. Again, he doesn't address me, but he does look right at me, finishes taking Joe Brown's order, instantly walks away. And so I'm just standing there like, what? Like, okay, like maybe there was something he had to get for one of these 5 seats at the bar. Like that is, okay, whatever. Again, this is intended to be a walk up and take out place, right? So I'm just like, whatever, but like I've worked in customer service and those types of jobs, so it's like I get it. Like maybe it's busy. So they stand there. We're waiting. This other guy comes up to order at the till, and then the guy comes back up to the till and helps the other guy. Well, I am still standing there at the till waiting and just takes the other guy's order instead. And like again, just looks at me and just ignores me. I'm like, what?
It was truly bizarre. Like I felt like I was watching like an animal documentary, like just seeing things in nature. Like it was an out of body experience because we just could not comprehend why this guy hated Sierra so much.
Yeah, like I'm just shocked, genuinely shocked. I was just like, screw this, I guess, and walked away and ordered somewhere else.
Largest mozzarella stick.
Yeah, that was got the world mozzarella stick the other day. But yeah, I went to another till and I tipped them like the same cost of what the order was, and I was just like, thank you for like actually taking my order. I was just like, this other stall like just wouldn't. You guys actually did. So like yours like $10. Like, thank you. Like, bro, I was so mad. I was fuming. And then
Deservedly
like
so. Yeah.
yeah. And like unfortunately, like, yeah, I got good service at the other place, but the food sucked. Like I wanted the barbecue place. So that kind of just like, yeah, that sucked. So
you just gotta avoid that guy at the
yeah,
market.
I'm just not going there. Like I don't care how good the food is. Like not doing the business. Like that is.
Or
Yeah,
here's the
crazy.
other thing. Here's the other thing. We might need it. We might need for research purposes. You might have to try to order again at that spot just to see if he ignores you again. Because if he does it 2 times in a row, what, 7 months apart or whatever it is, 6 months apart, then we got a problem. Then something's going on.
No, I was so mad because, like, as well, guys, this wasn't like a 2-minute interaction, so it all happened really fast. This was over the span of like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes, guys. Like, yeah, it was bizarre. I was actually just so upset. Like, I thought I was going to just cry. I was so mad about it. So yeah, I'm not going back to that place. Is what it is, but do we want to start talking about we're like 10 minutes into this. Do we want to start talking about the Pokemon of it all?
Every time we worry that we're off track, everybody in the community tells us that these are like their favorite conversations to get to listen to is the side tangents. But
I've also seen Reddit where they say we yap too much. Not very, but yeah, you know, sometimes. But there's a lot of Pokemon to be talking about, so we can talk about that, especially to Milwaukee coming up this weekend. Do we want to talk about Milwaukee, or do we want to talk about Grand Challenge first?
I say we do the Grand Challenge first because it already wrapped up, you know?
Okay. So yeah, Grand Challenge was over this weekend. Something that I was really excited to talk about and I was really excited to do over the weekend. I know there was a lot of people in the OHKO server that watched. I was relentlessly posting it in the OHKO server during the weekend. So if you are in the Discord server, you might already know about this, but I held a unofficial Grand Challenge broadcast, which I'm really proud of. So the VODs for the Saturday and the Sunday are live on my Twitch. I might upload them to YouTube. But it was actually like a broadcast, which was a really ambitious project. So I talked to TJ at Pittsburgh about it, and because I'd watched TJ do broadcasts for like the Florida local scene. They're so professional. It was crazy. So I was like, TJ, Grand Challenge. Think we could do like a broadcast out of this? And he's like, yeah. So he built like a whole like broadcast package. We ended up having I like chased players down for like game feeds. So every single game was live. We were just on like an 8-minute delay for like competitive integrity reasons, but every single feed was live, nothing pre-recorded, and followed 4 to 5 different players' runs through the Grand Challenge on every day, completed with player profiles at the beginning, completed with the 4 Pokemon they brought to the battle on the team, KOs taken, etc., and switching between all of the feeds. And then ended up being just me and one caster for the entire broadcast, which is like 3 hours, which it was very tiring.
Yeah.
But and like hopping into feeds and stuff. But like, I don't know, like in my opinion, like I don't know, like I'm really proud with how it went down.
No, I think it was awesome. I tuned in on the first night of it. It was while we were recording with Chuppa, basically right after we finished that last week's pod. You went to start that, so I was watching as I was editing. And I thought it was really awesome. TJ always crushes it. You know, he's always so invested in the production end of things. So like, it felt. I know you don't watch American football, but you know the concept of red zone because we've talked about it before, right? And it felt very red zone-esque, but like VGC, where you're going from one match to another. And I think I called you trendsetter at the beginning with your T, but like, who knows? This could also set up a new kind of co-stream watch party style GC. For the future. And there's these challenges are like once a month or whatever it is, right? And who knows how often they'll happen once Champions comes out. So like, I think there's potential for you and TJ to really like, continue to improve and make this even cooler every time.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited for too, because like I know there's been conversations about like the viability of hopping into a game that's already happening and figuring out the board state. I do think in a best of 3 that is a really difficult thing to do because there's a lot of missing context that really does change the series. But for best of 1, it worked pretty well. Like obviously there would be board states where it confused in, but like I feel like too, if you're just like straight up, we're like, okay, guys, we're all hopping onto this together. Let's decipher this. Okay, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Like, it was nicer if we could get a match from the beginning, but I don't think that from like a broadcasting and viewer perspective that anything was lost by that, because it's like understanding the current limitations of what's happening. If you're red zoning, you go to a game midway through, you're going to be missing context. That's just the nature of what you're watching at that moment, right? So I was pretty happy with everything. And yeah, that was the one thing that was just like, ooh, is this going to be a disaster? Is this a one and done? Or like, can we move forward with this? But like, I think as long as timings like are okay, like, I don't know, I'd like to continue doing this. DJ even at the end did like a recap replay at the end and had a little like
Oh,
credit
nice.
section, and like there was even replays that had like just happened that he was still throwing in for the broadcast, which was really really cool. Like, I didn't think that it was going to feel as broadcasty as it did going into it, but he really was like, this is all the broadcast parts. Or like if he was about to switch to cameras, he's like coming to cams, or like caster's clear. And it felt like a production, which was really cool.
No, I mean, that's what we love TJ around here. You know, he's for a decade now. That's why he's been so committed to the production, to the back end part of our community. So, were there any matches in specific that like did somebody lose to a squawkabilly, or like, any crazy things happen?
There was some fun stuff. There was a substitute BLOODMOON Ursaluna Tang played up against. He also posted it, but it was really funny because it was just like, didn't anticipate that, right? Kian, one of the players, went up against Malamar twice in the same day.
I lost to Malamar. Yeah.
Tyson, one of the players that we featured, was running Life Orb Dondozo. He ended at 1697, I believe. Which is super strong. But yeah, Life Orb Dondozo, which is putting in absolute work. One of the things that showed up on the Saturday, which we were like excited to see, was Terra Ice Dondozo with Surf and Terra Blast. And then and then Henry Rich, Henry was saving all of his games for Sunday. He was playing the same thing, which was super super cool. So we got to watch through that. And then normal like shenanigans. Ugarte went up against Belly Drum Hariyama with Psych Up Farigarath at one point, which was crazy. Just normal like grand challenge stuff. Blazekin. We saw quite a few Gengars. Like it was fun. It was a good time.
I think the main grand challenge takeaway from this weekend, the one that caught Twitter by a storm, was this flame or blood moon.
Yes, the Boggy posted.
Yeah, shout out to Boggy. I mean, that like I've just been trying to wrap my head around it for like 4 days. I'm not seeing the vision. Like
I don't know who, man, I wish I remembered, but somebody like quote tweeted it and they were like playing out a conversation. It was like, hey, little bro, can you help me out? Like,
Karis, yeah.
No, Karis posted it. Yeah. And he's like, can you get this Ursaluna, put a flame orb on it and add it to the team? And it's like, sure thing. And then it's the Blood Moon Ursaluna. I mean, I'm assuming that it is probably because, I mean, we always talk about the competitive end of the grand challenges. I'm assuming that it's somebody that like sometimes maybe watches a competitive something or just like searched up teams and was like, oh, okay, and just didn't really recognize that there is a difference.
Oh, I know. I watched the stream and they talk about this Ursaluna and this flame orb interaction. Okay, I guess I'll go for it. And they're like, oh, he's got the spirit. He's so close. He's almost there.
I would also just like to play. I mean, it's like you're a special attacker, so like. It's like worst case is just someone who's a little unaware of like maybe wrong one. Best case, like you can't get slept.
Can't get dire clawed.
You can't get like poisoned. Like the sleep would be the major one. Like, but like you're kind of safe from that, which is kind of funny.
Just run a Lumberry. You're something.
No, you're always safe now. It's not like a burn to done. You're always safe.
I guess.
Have you ever seen somebody just like go and just burn the Lumberry and then just go ahead and burn the target or sleep the target or paralyze the target next turn? You're immune now the entire match.
Yeah, I think I've seen that more times than I've seen, Flame or Blood Moon or Ursaluna, I guess, to be fair. So
yeah, maybe it's the sauce. But yeah, no, that was pretty funny. It's always fun with this grand challenges, but it did kind of seem like a lot of like the just what's inherently strong did really, really well. We don't quite, because we're recording this on the Monday, so there's been a couple people to post their elos, but there's not any really conclusive results as of yet that have come out. But I do know Leonard Kraft was also playing the Terra Ice on Dozo. Him and Henry actually paired up against each other, and he was
Uh,
over 1700s with it. So he was on a run.
that's pretty cool. I mean, I like it. Was it still Commander to get so like it still did
Yeah.
more? Okay, so it still has +2 special attack at that point for the
Oh
Surf.
yeah, it does
So,
damage. Like it was cool.
okay,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That's right. I tried to play this weekend. I started 2-4 in hating life, and then I won my next 2 games, and I felt a little better. And I was like, okay, glad I just used my Pittsburgh team. And then the next game, like I had the win and the guy DC'd, and then I went to back out, and like I never lost internet or anything, and they gave me the loss, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this. People are gonna keep DCing the more I play this, right, for protect their aim. Like if I'm gonna get punished for their them getting away with it, like I just didn't want to deal with it anymore, so I stopped it 9 games in.
There was a lot of posts and comments about that over the weekend, because I know the disconnect thing, like, again, don't really know exactly how it's caused to where the opponent gets the loss or anything. And one of the first grand challenges, global challenges that kind of came around, I broadcasted playing 25 games on day one because people kept disconnecting when I had winning positions. But in each one of those, it was ruled a tie, which then it just struck out the game. Like it just pretended like it didn't exist. So I got 25 games on day one.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, there's losses. Like there is quite a few people that recorded it. I think Federico Camporesi as well was one of those that said, like, yeah, he got ruled a loss for a disconnect that wasn't his fault, right? So like
Stefan
that is,
also.
yeah. So that's I don't know, like that's, I mean, no other way to say it, unfortunate, right? Because like there are points on the line. They
Yeah.
definitely did significantly reduce the amount of points you get this year, which I think does make the situation a lot better. But I'm hoping it's one of those things. At this point, we're so close to champions. I don't know what the cause is. I mean, at this point, like I guess it doesn't really matter. But like hopefully if
Yeah.
we do keep doing online events, hopefully there isn't something like that in champions, because that sucks.
I hope so. Especially champions having access to mobile, right? Like you can think of, like you can get punished if you like disconnect in Pokemon Unite, right? And that's a mobile game there. So like hopefully they're gonna have some of the same detecting systems, because I don't think the GCs are gonna go anywhere. Like we're still gonna have them. It'll just be on champions, I presume, right? And hopefully they'll have better like detecting capabilities or whatever to see who was trying to intentionally disconnect to avoid a loss.
Yeah, especially too, because I don't know how it's being disconnected in a way that is then getting the opponent a loss and not getting them temporarily online banned. Because I'm fairly certain before, because I just always forget to like, the game will end, not in the GC, but like a game will end. And I just like turn my switch off. So I've not really left the online client and I have not turned off online. And I'm pretty sure I've done that enough times to where I have gotten temporarily restricted from online gaming,
Yeah.
right? So then I just don't understand how people can do that in like the Grand Challenge and not get and bypass it, right? Essentially, because it is a bypass. So of course that is always disappointing to see. But again, hopefully champions, if we're doing online events, which I don't want something like this to ruin online events. Like that would be my worry, right? If people start exploiting these opportunities that Pokemon's giving, whether you love or hate the GC, it is giving an opportunity for players to earn points at home instead of at events, right? Which is something that's been asked for a long time. So I would just hate for them to just exit out because of people just being bad people.
Right. Yeah. I feel like this is one of those areas where I have to remain consistent on it. And like, me for years, I have stated I want more ways for us to play competitive VGC from home, right? With either more players cups or more GCs or things that where you can earn championship points without having to travel for it. So like I have to stay consistent in saying I want GCs to work and I want GCs to give out good points, a good amount of points or whatever. But I also don't want people to be able to game in the system to, if they're at 1692 going into the, 10 minutes left on Sunday and they can DC and remain there and they were going to lose and drop down to 1655 or whatever it was, right? I don't know the number, but like they got to figure something out. That's all. Because it just killed my drive. I was excited to try to play it, and it just killed my drive for the whole weekend with that DC.
Yeah, so hopefully champions. Like, I feel like too, there's gonna be like not even just like gonna be, but has to be pretty decent awareness of that for champions, considering that assumingly, because with Pokemon Unite you can play off the Switch or on phone at competitive events. Assumingly that's going to be the same for champions. I feel like that is a big miss in accessibility for the game if you can't do that. So I'm going to assume that you can do that at events, which means we have no idea about the docking process, the connection process, anything else. So any sort of exploits that could be used online, I would assume could be used in person, which means it has to just get fixed because that's an issue, right? So
yeah,
I'm assuming that it will be a little bit more aware, as well as like something like a dedicated game to VGC, like champions. Like there is a lot of things that they can just like add stuff down the line. Like you look at like Valorant or League, like Valorant just added a replay client after like 5 years because this is the dedicated game, right? So like it should have been out sooner, right? But like what I mean is Pokemon then having VGC on a dedicated game, any sort of issues isn't just like we need to update our mainline game for a subsection. It's like, no, this is the whole game. So any fixes or addition is for the whole game, right? Which I think is like a lot more worth than like that sort of cost effectiveness.
VGC, the ability to save game replays.
That'd be so cool.
Wouldn't that be so cool? Isn't that like something that we had for generations and they took away from us like for no reason? Like, wouldn't that just be awesome?
No, but I feel like if there isn't that capability, it is something that could be added, right? Because again, it's like this is the game now, so that would be, oh man, talking about like awesome. how like for the GC unofficial broadcast, it was like chasing down live feeds from players, etc. Like just having replays. Oh my gosh, I mean, this sort of stuff would always be live, but just the capability to have replays would just be so nice. Somebody during a regional run instead of just all this lost footage, like being able to have the entire run.
That's what we used to have back in the day. Yeah. That was how YouTubers would upload their matches and stuff like that.
Oh, you know? Man, that would be so cool. Like, man, that would be such a mismark because like now I'm thinking too, because like you say too, like back in the day, like, and like it's so cool that was there, but like realistically VGC just had such a small like footprint just overall in general, right? Yeah. But like current day VGC and some of the big names that are attending events for the first time, or some of the big names that just create content, I mean Wolf for example, and then just having access to every single game and being able to promote that instead of just like maybe the one broadcasted, like it would be so good for the game's growth now to be able to just have that. Like that'd be so cool.
It'd also be super helpful for Wolf and his whole production team to actually have the save broadcast, so he doesn't have to write down every play of every turn of every round. You know what I mean? If you just save his replays for every match, it would make those awesome like Wolf videos.
Any creator, better. Like, oh my goodness, that would be so nice. Like, yeah, that'd be sick. So I'm hopeful. Again, this is just another all the things we wish champions will be as we're waiting.
A lot of pressure onto it.
As we're waiting for even a date, but man,
we gotta get through ZA first, Sierra.
We do, which I'm excited for ZA.
It's close, man. It's like, well, by the time this is out, like 8 days away. By the time this is uploaded.
The tragic thing for me, not for anyone else, because it's coming out very soon for everyone else, I will be at TwitchCon when the game releases. So. We are uploading this on Monday because I have broadcast, flying, rehearsal, broadcast, flying, broadcast. So I am busy on the release date and I am busy for the next 2 dates, like next 2 weeks past release date. So this game is going to be entirely spoiled for me.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you might want to stay out. You might want to stay off the internet.
Man, it's so cooked. At least, I mean, it means I can't do content with it, but I can like get it for the flight back because I'll have like a 5-hour flight home on the Sunday.
And it's switched to as a better battery, so it'll actually like last longer. Like I remember, like I switched for the flight. Yeah, all the time. Like, I'll play on the plane or whatever, and then it lasts like an hour and a half handheld, and it's like, okay, cool. I got another 4 hours to kill.
I can't believe that you're saying yours is better battery, because mine, I feel like my Switch is always dead and it has no battery and it's always dying. To be fair,
No, that's what
like
I hardly
like
ever.
my Switch 2.
Oh, Switch 2, really?
Yeah. To be fair, I accidentally cooked it the same day I got it. On the very first plug-in to like make sure the battery's topped up, I didn't notice. So it's plugged into the wall, it's heating up, and my cat decided it was a warm surface and decided to sleep on the Switch and cooked it.
It made it hotter, yeah.
Yes. So I picked up the Switch. I just hear this sound from across the house. It's the fans going haywire because the Switch is about to, it felt like it was about to set on fire. Kicked my cat off the Switch. The cat was loving its life. But yeah, this Switch was so hot to the touch. That fan ran. It was unplugged, like totally aired out as much as it can. Fan ran at like max capacity for like the next hour and a half, and it was still hot. Like,
Wow.
so I think I wrecked it. But that's a me problem. So
that's not a life hack like the T, or don't follow Sierra's guideline on that one.
But like, even when my Switch, like, I don't know, like even when my Switch is in sleep mode, like it's just draining battery. Like, I don't know, like I played my draft match against Lou. I had 40% battery.
No spoilers.
I played a. We were not uploading it, so it doesn't matter. I lost. She's crazy, man. She's crazy. But I was at 40%. Played the best at 3. Okay, and then my Switch has been sitting undocked in sleep mode since, and then it's like down to like 10% battery now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I have not heard about the Switch 2 having like a bad battery, so I think you might just be cooked here. Sierra.
Also, like, are you turning your Switch off, or is yours always just in sleep mode? Because sleep mode, like, mine will be in sleep mode, and the next day, like, I swear it's dead.
So I essentially never have it undocked. Like, I just always, like, I've had the same.
Mine overheats when it's docked. Even when it's off.
It's on sleep mode?
Yeah.
Oh no, I have it literally right next to me right now. I always have it docked. Like, I never have to worry about that.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I don't know what, like,
and that's why I think my battery is bad, since I always have it docked or whatever,
I don't know. Besides cooking it on like the first day, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't, like, I'm treating it besides the cooking, treating it the same as my Switch, but I feel like my OLED had so much more battery. I don't know. So
we'll see how long it lasts playing ZA on the flight.
Yeah, but oh well. But I mean, that's why there's the little plugins, right? All the flights are Delta. They all have plugins, so we'll be fine. But that means I'll have to find a different thing to do on the way to Milwaukee, with that one being sooner rather than later. Ooh, look at that segue.
There we go.
Because we can start talking about that now. Because there's actually going to be 2 regionals over the weekend. There is going to be Milwaukee as well as Belo Horizonte. I am saying that wrong. I super apologize. But yeah, we've already had 3 events now. And we can talk about how we're feeling about the format, everything else, because as much as this is Regulation H 2.0 and a lot of really strong Pokemon being really strong, like, we started off the regulation already with Frankfurt and like adaptations of a team that has been kind of one of the teams to beat. And we've gotten to see a lot of really unique things kind of pick up since then as well.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think it's confident to say that Regulation H is the most perplexing format of the entire Scarlet and Violet generation. If you look at our conversation with our friends in Discords, they're pro Reg H, anti Reg H, or like things they like about it or don't like, they're like it feels like a real toss up of a format where I personally, we go back to our Sneasler conversations, so that's in the past. We're not going to bring it up, but like, you and I were not too keen on Sneasler's ability in Reg H the first time around, and this time around, it's not really that Sneasler is overwhelming. I know it was like 38% usage or whatever. It seems as if it's the most wide open solved format that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, sure, random things can win. You could water shuriken your Archaludon, and if you're William Brown, and be good with it. But then also like it's the same 7 or 8 Pokemon that are 30+% usage that are on every single team, but also a random Maushold will win, or it'll get dumpstered by a Malamar while Gholdengo's at 48% usage at the same time. It's just like such a bizarre format to me.
I think with the format for me, with where it gets a little perplexing at points, is obviously we're at a lower power level format. So when you're looking at restricted, you're looking at double restricted. I feel like the first turns of those can be really like just big moments, right? But with some of the Pokemon that we have in the format, like in our current lower power level, I feel like on paper, it really shouldn't be, as like these first turns can just be so 50-50s at sometimes, but it kind of just still feels like that way sometimes to me in some of the matchups. Not all of them, but some of them, which is just something that I don't really just enjoy as much. I do think it's better in an open team sheet, but over the weekend with the GC, it's like, all right, here's a Maushold Annihilate.
Good luck.
What's happening here? Is it going to be the population bomb? Because population bomb does a million if you don't respect that. Or is it going to be into the Annihilate? Or is it going to be a pop-up and a final gambit? Like, you just don't know, right? And even in like formats that, like, well, not formats, but even in tournaments that do have the open team sheet, like if there's a final gambit, like final gambit, Kingambit, not Kingambit, final gambit, Annihilate. Oh, that's a 50-50. Like, but so we've kind of moved away from that. But then you get like other ones, and it's just like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there's as well, just like, as funny enough as it being solved format, I think there's just too much viability in everything, which just makes team building just like weird, because it's like, am I prepping for acrobatic Sneasler? Am I prepping for regular? Like, what am I prepping for at this point? Like, is it just for what I like for a team? Like, I'm not the greatest team builder, so this is more maybe me gripe, but it's like, there's too much for account for, which then means I have to take like some autos, which then just makes the game inherently frustrating. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the most I've enjoyed it is playing Ugarte's Sun team, but then that hasn't felt really great within the format either. So it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I haven't found a team that I like, but I don't know. Gholdengo speed ties. Gholdengo will do a bunch, or does it Terra, or does it not Terra?
Does it Terra? Does it not, bro?
It's just like
a tale is all this time, man. I think this format as a whole is real. It's Terra. Terra is awesome. We love Terrestrialization Radio. We're pro Terra on this podcast, but like Regulation H terrestrialization mechanics like really test your patience sometimes, like with how teams are constructed, because you can't cover for everything, as you were saying. And I think one thing that I agree with you, what you brought up at the beginning about how this compares to Regulation I, is that where usually the lower power formats are not as turn one dependent as like Regulation I can be with the double restricted, where you might lose the game straight up on turn one. I do feel like this format is comparably volatile. Maybe not exactly as volatile as Reg I is, but like it does feel like there are a lot of games I win or lose on turn one. I just don't have legendary Pokemon here.
I think too, like my own personal thing, and I believe we talked about like hyper offense just not really quite having a place within this current format.
Yeah, and that's what Cup said too.
Yeah, but like that's the type of team that I personally like to play. But it feels bad to not be able to play my go fast, hit big numbers type of teams for it not being good, to then get OHKO'd by things like BLOODMOON and stuff that just do a million damage, right? So then it's like, we're not in a hyper offense format, but there is still moves that it just, it's not super effective. It's just, it's just all bomb. It's all these different things that are still getting the OHKOs without it being a hyper offense format. So then it's like, I can't have the team that I want to have, but I'm still getting OHKO. So like, I can't have like OHKO stuff, but they can. Yep. I can't have my move, but they can, which then you can just be like, Sierra, get over it. It's just not viable, which like fair, but like, that's again, where like my gripe is, right? So it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't like things like the Ursaluna. Like if I can't OHKO it, but it can OHKO me, how is that fair?
On, right?
Have it be even. Like have my Talonflame be able to Brave Bird OHKO something and it get OHKO'd in return. Make it even, make it fair, right? Like at least that's one of the things with the final Gambit Annihilate is like, hey, at least you're going 1-for-1. But like, man, don't tell me this Ursaluna is just gonna run through my team. Like I don't like that.
I think it's an unfortunate. I wonder what this format would be if the two bears and Archaludon were also banned, just like legendaries. And I know they're not technically under the same list system. They're not listed as a sub-legendary like the way the Paradoxes or Ultra Beasts are, like, so they don't count because they're just like a normal Pokemon in Legends Arceus. So therefore, but like their BST is so significantly higher than the rest of the general pool that like I wonder, like, because the Archaludon stuff just makes rain so oppressive, and it could just become a fairy type or a bug type or an electric type or whatever it wants, whenever it wants, depending on whatever team it is. So like you feel like you had, I got coaching from Joe, and like I literally was testing like best of threes with friends before Pittsburgh, and I was like, this is how we deal with the Archaludon rain matchup. And then it's like, okay, cool. And like and like I feel like I won like 3 sets in a row, and was like, okay, I feel so much better. And then the next set's Terra Bug, and I was like, well, this was how I was beating Terra Fairy, right? And then the next one is Terra Fighting, like, so it's like, and then the next one is Terra Electric, and it's like, if these Pokemon are so powerful that they're getting another get out of jail free card on top of them already having the inherent base stat total advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, and then it begs the question too of like, because looking back at Pittsburgh response, like answers, like there is a decent representation within this top 8 of like the Ursalunas, for example, but at the same time, it's not every single team. Like, and that's kind of the same with anything else, right? So within the top 8, we get to see 2 of the Blood Moon Ursalunas, 2 of the Hisuian. Then the top 8, we see 3 Archaludons. We get to see 4 Sneaslers. We get to see 3 Alola Ninetales, 4 Rillaboom. So it's not like when you're looking at a top 8, it's all the one same Pokemon or all the one same archetype, right? Minus this because, friends are taking the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just something where I still feel like these are, play the best Pokemon, right? Even if like there is counters to them. It's just so much that I have to put into a team to counter it, at least that I feel, that it's just not made it as enjoyable. I don't know. Like I feel like the strong Pokemon are just a cut above. If it doesn't work on your team archetype, of course they're not going to be strong. But like,
yeah,
even just looking at like Chuppa's winning team, it's just like, yep, this OHKOs me, this OHKOs me, this OHKOs me, this OHKOs me, this OHKOs me.
And Incineroar stopped your OHKO because now you're intimidated, and now Gholdengo lives, and I get to OHKO you back.
I feel
like I know that these are like,
I forget this Maushold is not a I forget this Maushold was not an OHKO Maushold. This was the faint Super Fang one, but so it's just like, yeah.
Like when people talk about low power formats, it's like if we use like restricted formats and just even formats with legendaries that are allowed, like that's the big league, that's Major League Baseball. Like this is, this format is like there's Pokemon that are varsity, and then there's not even JV, and then there's the freshman squad, and it's like there's a whole lot of varsity Pokemon in this format that are just significantly better than the field. That's why it feels so weird, because is it more open? Yes. Does it feel that way when you are playing a match? Like, not particularly.
That's exactly it. So I feel like too, like it at this point in the format, because we are getting to a point with Regulation H where like I feel like at the very beginning of the season with Layla's team, like that was just, I think that a lot of things have been relatively solved on paper. So you get to see a little bit of that creativity or like switches coming out, like or even just people that are doing their own thing. Like you look at Ben Grismer with like a Dusclops, which we haven't really seen in this format. Indeedee Mail has been phased out, right? Alberto Lara, something like Corviknight, he's been running Corviknight for like ages, right? And we also get a Screen Setter and Grimmsnarl. But at the same time, like you go through and it's a lot of kind of the same things, but little tweaks to where it's just really hard to cover for absolutely everything. So like there is room for some creativity, but at the same time that I wonder how much is just getting into just a little bit of like matchup roulette. Do you hit like what's okay for you? Do you not? Yep. Right? Because if you can't cover for everything, and then it's just like there's just too much of like the good stuff to cover, which then kind of makes me feel like I'm forced into playing it. I think like the Gholdengo thing is kind of like one of the things. Like obviously not everyone is playing Gholdengo, right? But one of the great answers into it is
48% of day 2 was, though.
Fair. But like it's
So,
just it's a great answer into itself, right? But then that's when you get into like the weird 50-50 terrestrialization mind games. So I I definitely think that this could be a really fun spectator one. Like I enjoyed a lot of the matches over the GC. I just think it's been inherently frustrating to play. I'm really hoping that for Milwaukee, now that we've had a bit of time to sit on the results from Frankfurt and from Pittsburgh, we can kind of crack open this acrobatic Sneasler team just a little bit more and be able to have something that's a little bit more like breaking, which would be really, really cool because I think there could be that potential there. But I think I'm just kind of like, and like, again, that seems weird to say when like Matt got second with the Hariyama, right? But again,
yeah,
like really strong Pokemon. And like these are the teams, like Matt's teams are the teams that I want to see in the sea of like
right.
all these like
I
teams that
think
are like known to be good.
didn't we say it wasn't there 14 bulky grass types in Top Cut or 13 in total? Like if you go to 9 on Rillaboom, 8 of the top 9, because Chup is the only one that didn't have a bulky grass type. And if you scroll down to I think if there were 15 players, not counting Whimsicott, so 15 minus 3, so 12. 12 of the top cut teams had a bulky grass on it, which means Acrobatic Sneasler ain't going anywhere because that's what's going to be your answer into the Sinister Rillaboom and Amoonguss.
Unless I can't count, I think it's 11,
Either way.
but I mean, still like valid point, right? Which, yeah, like looking at stuff like this is a show, like it just matched up like so well into
Right.
things, right?
Which, if
So
you opt for acrobatics on the Sneasler, then your matchup into Gholdengo is worse because you have to get rid of Throat Chop, right? And you can't cover for everything, which makes Gholdengo even better. And the look at literally Chuppa's team, right? Is double ghost, double normal, fire, and then does Dragonite have anything except for Scale Shot or no? Is that his only attack? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's just Scale Shot. Yeah, like so it's just like there's not really a lot of wide range of attack. Like the regional winning team is double ghost, double normal, just Scale Shot. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, I think too, like something is I feel like it sounds like we're just kind of like blah about the format a lot. I think at this point, I just have personally a little fatigue with the doubling up of a format, running the same format twice. I
Yeah.
feel like where we ended it off with the like the WolfieCon Parish win in like Toronto was a really nice like kind of bookend to that. And it made me wonder if we kind of had place for creativity going on forward, but nothing's really like cracked open the format the same way that that team did. And so then seeing a lot of the Blood Moon Ursaluna, seeing a lot of these Dragonite, seeing a lot of the Gholdengo, I think it's just brought up a little bit of a format fatigue for me, especially with like the anticipation of champions. That is just making a lot of these teams just seem a little just not as fun considering where we were. Like we left off in such a good place. So if we had more like Toronto, that'd be sick, right? Like that was cool because then it was Marco with like Charizard's son, right? That he had been piloting. It was Wolf with his new team. Like those were cool team archetypes in my opinion, right? But like Sun's viability in this current format just doesn't feel so great. Sand is in kind of a weird spot. Like it can be good, but there's so much Alola Ninetales around because it's so strong into all these Pokemon that we're not really seeing it. And Rain has just been super, super strong from the beginning, right? So it's like sometimes we'll get a really good player with a unique team, but I feel like at this point we're kind of getting a lot of the same, especially when we're looking at the more higher results. So
It's like when you watch a movie and you love it and you're like, this was great, this is creative, this was what a breath of fresh air this film was, and then they make a sequel to it and you're like, all right, well, it's like solid, but they're kind of retreading some of this same. It's not as good as the original, you know. And like the way that we ended Reg H with the Wolfie Cub Paris storyline, it's like it would have been hard for anything for this second go round to live up to those expectations.
yeah, and I think that's kind of where I'm a little like a doomer about this, and where I'm just like, man, this isn't fun because it definitely was. I started off Regulation H not really liking it too much, and at the end, it was like, okay, this was actually kind of really fun. Into okay, like we're still getting some fun teams, but like I don't know, like it's more so like it kind of more so feels like one unique Pokemon on a team of just 5 of the best we got.
Yeah.
Like looking at like the Greninja team, for example, like that is super cool, right? But again, it's a way to be able to set up like something else then. Like it matches up in the Gholdengo too, but like there's typical parts of the team, right? Whereas Wolf's archetype and Marco's archetypes were complete full different teams, right? So that was where it was really cool. So I'm hoping looking at Milwaukee with it being a relatively big event, maybe we can get more of that because as the format becomes more solved, that's when you can start to try and crack things open in an anti-meta sort of way. So that's where I got some hope for the weekend.
Well,
but
I think that's fair though, because Milwaukee the last 2 years has been very innovative, right? You had 2 years ago, you had Rajan winning with Miraidon when people were unfamiliar with Miraidon's game, to put it lightly, right? Like Rajan opened everybody's eyes. And then last year with Andrew Ding with the Lunala, Ursaluna, Miraidon team that like a lot of people use, but like kind of came out of nowhere where people were not putting that pairing together, and then it was so good that it stayed all the way through NAIC and Worlds as a viable thing. Like so, Milwaukee, it's got a tendency to break the format. That's all I'll say.
I'm hoping, and I feel like someone's going to be thinking, but like Scyther started off this regulation and won, and it's like you're not wrong, but we haven't really seen anything from that sort of team archetype since, right? Which is then it was a really cool anti-meta call, but I feel like there's always going to be an inherent bias for what we get to witness and cast and see. So like that was really cool, but like we're still getting it was a great call into a lot of these Caesar teams, but it never really changed anything, right? Which is completely fine. So I'd be down to see more of that type of teams, but it needs to be then just more of the one team for, in my opinion, for it to be like, oh my gosh, right? So
yeah, and we're talking about like spectating the format, right? As viewers, as being entertained by it. Even if that tournament was streamed with Stefan, right? You would have got him maybe one day on during Swiss. You would have got one round of the Scyther, and then maybe top 4 in finals. Like, so of the 10 or 11, 12 rounds of the weekend that you watched, like 3 of them were unique. It's not like, yes, Scyther won a regional, but it wasn't like the entire format had felt unique and a breath of fresh air every time you were watching every round.
I mean, at this point, like, because I think like with things being solved, that like there could be the potential. It's just whether people want to put that sort of effort in when we're a month and a half left in the format and potentially LASC saving. Like, do we think that we're going to see anything big and creative, or like that's always the hard part too? Is like going into an event, like if people have an anti to the meta, like we're not going to see that, right? Like that's going to be hidden, so people can't make sure they're good against it.
I think they will, because I think people are willing, because since we don't know what our next format is, if you are good at Reg H, you're going to try to capitalize on this and Vegas and LASC while you can. So, like, I think nowadays in particular, the idea of holding teams for future events is not as prevalent as it used to be, which it used to be very significant in VGC, and I think it doesn't happen as often, because now if you're Pangy, if you're Chuppa, if you win this early regional, this can really help you shape your whole season on what events you want to go to and what you want to focus on as a player, as a creator, whatever. So I do think people are going to be willing to break the meta in Milwaukee and not try to save it for Vegas and LASC.
I'm hopeful. That'd be cool to see. I want a revitalization back into the format. I want to see something cool. But talking about things that we're expecting in Milwaukee, do we want to hop into our Milwaukee predictions?
Yes, whatever our next regional we're both at, I still have to buy you a plush from Worlds.
I eyed up Canada. Some really like I was eyeing up plushies at Pittsburgh, and then I forgot. But there was two Piplup plushies that I do not yet own. Okay. And I didn't buy either because I was like, I'm going to get Joe Brown to buy me one of these for the bet.
That's fair.
Did. And I forgot. So now I don't have either of the plushies. Tragic.
We'll get there. That's okay.
Oh, one day. Okay.
Now, no plushies on the line on this one. This is
this is for fun.
For the love of the game.
Love of the game.
All right. So I think we have 6 in total. Yes. So these are our predictions for the Milwaukee Regional Championship this weekend. Our first question is, what will day 1 Gholdengo usage be? So for context, in Pittsburgh last weekend, as I get it scrolled up, Gholdengo, by far and away, the most commonly used Pokemon of the entire format. 41.6% on day one, and nearly 49% usage on day two. So, do we think more people are going to index into Gholdengo? Are they going to opt out of the mirror matches? What is our day one Gholdengo usage rate?
I think a solid 40%. I feel like people trying to crack over the team or just going into different type of like ghost type Pokemons. Like, I think 40% is, I think it was pretty solid. Even if it does have a higher into day two conversion rate, I don't think that's going to affect day one too much.
I think it's just going to be lower just because people are going to try something. So I'll go 39. So if it's like 38, I'll get it. If it's 41, you get it. You know, we'll make it out that way. I would say sub 40. So you'll say 40 and above. I'll say sub 40, essentially. That like day two. You know, listen, I'm not committing anything to day two. Who knows? It could be 53%.
I feel like it goes over 50% for day two. I think Gholdengo is just as such a strong Pokemon, but yeah.
So we'll see. So here's our day two prediction question. So day two Incineroar usage. We go to Pittsburgh here. Day one, it was 35%. Day two, it shot up to almost 47% usage. So it went up nearly 12%. And the day one to day, phase one to phase two, you know, as we should say, technically. But what do we think about Incineroar and its usage on day two?
That one's a little tough.
Do you want me to go first to help give you?
Yeah, you can go first on this one.
So it's at 46.7 on Pittsburgh. I'll say 44. I'll say it goes down a little, a couple of percentage. It's still going to be massive, and you know, still raised from day one. But I'll go 44%.
All right. Why lower? You just it's the heart of the cards.
I just think in general these Pokemon are going to just dilute just a little bit with a larger tournament, and with like the how dominant they were in Pittsburgh. I think people are going to try to counter team, and they might leave like just even if 5 people decide to leave an Incineroar off of their team that they would have had, it still is like that could be the percentage difference in day two, right?
I'm going to say 48%. I feel like when you have bulky grass types, that Incineroar is just going to do really well with that. And I think since we are in a bulky grass types era, I think that's just going to work super, super well for Incineroar. Incineroar is also just a Pokemon that always just feels good on a team, as well as if somebody is trying to break a format and they don't know what to do for a 6th Pokemon, if they don't already have Incineroar, I feel like it's going to get the ad. So I feel like there's just too many tools and not enough crazy punishes that I think it would be 48.
I think that's fair. I can definitely see it. All right, next prediction. How many teams with bulky grass types in top 8? So in Pittsburgh, it was 7, as Chuppa, the winner, was the only one who didn't have a bulky grass type. So this time around, how many top 8 teams will have a bulky grass type?
I'm going to say 6. I think the hot take is only one of them is going to be a Sinistcha, if any. I think it's all going to be Rillabooms and maybe Amoonguss.
Listen, I'm locking in 8, bro. I really am. I'm saying
really?
I'm not even playing the smart game of saying 7 and countering it out.
Yeah,
like,
you're all in.
I'm locking in 8. I think Sinistcha is actually really good. Like I know, crazy of me to say as it just gets 3 of the top 4 spots at a regional. I know I'm breaking ground here, but like me, I've been on the Sinistcha train for a long time. I think it's a really good Pokemon. It helps you in Trick Room. It helps you outside of it. Like I think the extra redirection on teams that have double redirection with Maushold Sinistcha or potentially like Electabuzz Sinistcha, whatever. Like I think it's really good. So if it's either Rillaboom, Amoonguss, or the Sinistcha, I'm locking in 8. I think I might sound crazy. It's like 4, but that's why it's all fun. It's all for fun. No plushes on the line.
I do think it's strong. I just I don't know if Sinistcha gets the same kind of results as it did at Pittsburgh. Like, I look at Dylan and Daniel both making a great call into the event to then have it. I look at Matt, who I don't believe is going, which is then having it on a different type of team. But I think a lot of the more regular teams that we're seeing, since they're not really running it, I'm not really anticipating it to, or else I feel like we maybe would have seen it just a little bit sooner That's which kind of a little bit more of my thought process.
Yeah.
Plus, like if we do have any room for like a Whimsicott or something, as said, Whimsicott isn't a bulky grass, but like you're not really running a Whimsicott and a grass type, which then makes me think that we're not quite gonna have the full 8.
Yeah. I think it's probably not, but it's just how my heart feels right now that it's going to be
follow your heart.
Yes.
8 bulky grass in top 8.
All right, what would be the highest finishing Kingambit spot? Now, we talk about the past, we talk about Reg H 1.0. Kingambit had quite the heyday in the first go round of Regulation H. Was very commonly if not the top usage Pokemon, because it's Sneasler, second or third, like 40% usage Pokemon that first time around, and it's not even making the graphics anymore. Meaning it's like it's less than 12% usage or whatever in the entire field of the tournament, right? So like it did get what was it, second or fourth? I forget. It got second this time around because I'm on Matt's team. But like, is that a fluke? Is there going to be another high performing Kingambit team? Like, is it going to come back with a vengeance if Incineroar is going to stay good? Like, what do we think?
I don't think it's coming back with a vengeance at any point. I think that, Kingambit isn't crazy and everywhere. I feel like it's just kind of tough because for the Kingambits, at this point, we're not really seeing as much of like the assault vest or like anything bulky. Instead, it's more so the black glasses, you get the sword stance, etc. And it's dangerous then if there is the sword stance, but those are also then going to be teams that are super susceptible to close combat, which is tough when there's Sneaslers running around. Since there's fake out, there's redirection going on forward, right? So it's just kind of one of those things that feels a little bit tough. I think as well, like it on paper, it looks like you could pressure Gholdengo, but again, Gholdengo, you're terastallizing it. Yeah, then that's just again going to be tough. And I feel like too, when you are running the black glasses set, because we'll normally see like the sucker punch, we'll get to see kowtow, sword stance, protect. Then you're just not really having the type coverage either, which then also feels bad, right? So I think I don't think we're going to see it back with a vengeance at any point. I do think that there is places for it on teams so that we could see one in top 4. I feel like top 8 would probably be a smarter guess, but I don't know. I believe in a top 4 finish for one Kingambit.
I was going to go top 8 here. I think it was going to fall out a little bit. There were 4 Kingambits in top cut of the top 15 players in Pittsburgh, so it actually did have a pretty good performance, even if it wasn't on a high usage in the field. But I just think one thing where Kingambit's really struggling right now, one, like the Defiant stuff is not as relevant as it was before, because like the Incineroar sometimes doesn't care. You might not even get to attack anyway, even if you get an attack boosted, depending on how things are with Volcarona and all these other things. Like you can, I was using Terra Fairy and Didi to redirect it. And if all you have is kowtow into my Terra Fairy and Didi, good luck. So, I think the issue Kingambit currently has is struggling in the format is that it is sharing weakness with a lot of really important threats that people are already just so happen to be planning for. Like it is weak to fighting, just like Archaludon and both of the Ursalunas. It is weak to ground, just like Archaludon and Gholdengo, right? Like there's a lot of things that people who just happen to be planning for other threats happen to have a good matchup into the Kingambit.
Yeah, and like seeing that there is a decent amount of Kingambits within like the top cut of Pittsburgh, like that's where I definitely think that there is a Kingambit that can get a good performance. But like I look at the teams and like I've never personally really been sold on like Magmar and Electabuzz, which are the 2 Pokemons that you are going to see on that type of team for that type of redirection to keep the Pokemon safe to set up, right? I've never really been keen on those Pokemon. I know results can say that they're good. I just personal bias of just not really cared for it, right? But then I think it's just limiting into certain type of builds for the team when there's just other things that are so much more powerful. So
yeah,
which I know, like we could maybe, but I mean, even stuff like the Ninetales, like it just feels bad. Like if you're not running Ironhead and then all of a sudden it's going to Roar Avail. So even if you do get a setup, it's just like It just
And
doesn't feel
you
great.
lose your steel typing, so now you're taking neutral blizzards, right? You don't have assault vest, like you might get frozen. Yeah.
I just feel
Okay.
bad.
Next question. Highest finishing Maushold. So 2 years in a row, the first North American regional of this format had a Maushold winning the whole thing. But what do we think Maushold is going to finish up on in Milwaukee? It could be either
Top 16.
the top 16. That's a pretty steep fall, because you have either the like super aggro Choice Band Dragonite and Pop Bomb Maushold teams, or the way that Chup is using it with Feint and being a little more follow me, a little more supportive, right? Top 16. That's off a cliff, dare I say?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I spent a long time saying that it just like does a lot of damage and I don't like it, but like I don't know. I just think that there is some stronger Pokemon, some stronger archetypes, and I think that Maushold Pop Bomb, since it was something that won Baltimore, and so then it's just like on radars, that it's just like I don't know. Like I feel like there is viability. Obviously, we get to see it, but I don't know. I just don't. I just got a feeling this event ain't it. Sorry to anybody planning to play Maushold. I just don't have a good feeling.
Switch. It's only Thursday. The event hasn't started yet, so you have time to switch. Because Sierra said it's not Maushold. It's not Maushold Milwaukee. Okay.
Not Maushold Milwaukee.
Listen. I feel basic going top 8 for both of my answers here, but I do think there will be one in top 8. Now I don't know if it's going to be Chuppa's route. Like I do think that team, that really aggro hyper offense team, has room to grow and has room to adjust from Pittsburgh. So like I think it might be the wide lens Pop Bomb and the Choice Band Dragonite stuff, because like that Choice Band Dragonite is really nice into all these other just scale shot Dragonite teams like that lose the mirror, right? If the other guys got Terra Fairy Dragonite and all you have is scale shot, like it's just a 3v4 at that point, right? So and Maushold is also Terra Fairy, so you follow me, redirect the scale shots away. You don't get the speed boost, you don't get the damage and anything like that. So I feel confident at least that a Maushold team in some variety can still make top 8.
Oh, fair. Fair.
All right, final question. The last, but always the most important question of the predictions, was I don't think we had a Pittsburgh prediction, so I feel like everybody's on the table for this one. I don't think there's any cooldowns or anything like that. So who will win the Milwaukee Regional Championships?
Do you want to go first on this one, or am I going first?
I'm not sure if everybody's going and stuff, like, because I haven't seen, I'm not registered or anything like that. Like, I'm feeling Raghav. I think Raghav's got a chance. Feel like this could be a tournament. I don't know if Raghav is going, but if they are, because I don't have the list, that would be my prediction. If we find out on Saturday morning that they're not there.
I believe they are. Just looking at I'm not looking at the list, but just kind of people that we've chatted about. So I don't think.
Okay, then I got to come up with a backup.
I could be wrong.
But I won't give my backup till you give one. So that way I'm not stealing 2 in a row.
I think.
This is the most important one to get right.
So, despite the fact that Chuppa just won, which would then be like, yeah, betting a already regional champion would be smart, because my first thought was to Carson.
Ooh,
but
okay.
I think so. That was my first thought. And I do think it is a very, very strong choice. And I don't blame you if you want to steal that pick, right? But I think for myself, I want to try and get away from predicting already regional champions and instead predict people who haven't quite yet won. So it isn't the same, I just predicted a regional champion and this feels safe. So I will still pick a very safe option and pick Marcus Dion. They have worked together before. Yep. Going back to Carson's like Sacramento win, they were playing the same match in the top 4. They played a mirror. So I think just overall that if I think Carson's capable of winning, which I do, well, then I think Marcus is capable of winning. So
that's fair. Smart.
He also went 8-0 day 1 of Pittsburgh.
Oh, so, okay. There you go. I mean, yeah, he's definitely one of the best players in North America. So I think it's a safe bet. Okay, so if Raghav is not playing, I'll flex, and we'll see what happens on Saturday morning. I'm gonna go with a regional champion. I'm gonna go with a world champion in the senior division, but not James Evans. I'll go with my boy Toller Webb, baby. I don't know if he's don't know if he's going to Pittsburgh, but I might have two guys that don't go, and then at that point I just lose the prediction. But if he is playing in Milwaukee, I'm locking in Toller Webb to walk away with a regional championship.
All right. It's strong prediction. So.
Listen, I mean, he's well connected. He's always in really innovative team building groups, right? And him and his friends are always performing well at regionals. I think it's his time to shine.
All
right. So how are you feeling after your predictions?
I feel good. I feel like I'm gonna win.
Hey, if you don't believe in yourself, who will, right?
Exactly.
All right. Anything else before we close it out, or are we ready?
I think wrap this one question of the week.
All right. So for anyone that's your first time listening to the OHKO podcast, we end every episode with a question of the week from one of our friends in the Discord. If you ever have any burning questions you would love to ask Sierra and myself, do not have to be Pokemon related, don't have to be VGC related or anything like that. Ask in our question of the week tab in the Discord. Links in the description down below. This week's question comes from Pluto. And they ask, as a caster, do you prefer in-battle animations to be faster or slower? Do you like going through games quickly, or do you like the extra time for analysis? And then kind of second caveat, does your answer change if you're answering as a player? We don't need to do that part of it. Basically, do you prefer battle animations to be faster or slower as a caster?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first on this one?
Do you want time on it, or because I can go first? I don't mind.
No, I already know my answer. I'm just offering. So
no, you're good. You're good.
I say like I have an answer. Like my answer is, I think it's very dependent. Like realistically, so casting VGC is very weird in comparison to casting different games. So I've looked a lot to other esports, particularly Valorant, for inspiration on what I would like to take on how to cast the game. And something that I think is really impressive, especially on the back of Valorant Champions just happening, and like one of the best duos of all time, in my opinion, Pansy and Hypoc, Pansy just being one of the most insane play-by-plays of all time, casted the finals, right? And something that's done really, really well is building up the suspense and the storylines and the narrative throughout, which is something that is really hard to do when there's always something happening. You don't really get a moment to breathe. You can't really build something up. And that is really difficult to be able to accomplish within a game of VGC because it goes so fast. And the time that is used when there isn't really action happening is then being used for the analysis on what happened, because there's always so much to unpack. On that same vein, if the game doesn't have much to analyze, so there's space, it's also kind of hard to build a narrative within that spot unless you're about to close into an accomplishment. I feel like a really good example of that is Kevin Hahn's win at Worlds this year. It was an extremely quick match. Because it wasn't a fast match, could try and string in some narrative points during the match, because frankly, there wasn't much analysis because it was a fast match. So then there was quick narratives to build in before his win happened, right? But again, that was then a very specific case of this kid is about to be world champion. There is something to really quickly build up there. There isn't really much time to build anything else because there isn't that in VGC. But that's not something you can do in round 2 of a regional, because there is not a narrative yet being said. You could try to build one, but again, there's not really a narrative to be building quite at that moment to really make impact of those moments. So that's when then those slow moments feel kind of bad, because you're wanting something interesting to happen in the match to start building a narrative off of. If the match is slow, there's nothing to build a moment off of. So that all being said, like the TLDR of it all is it really just comes down to the individual circumstance of all of it. In the high stake matches, would love to have extra time to be able to flex out not just the proper analysis to the moment, but the narrative as well. But for matches that are like for round 2, round 3 of a regional, I would like to have interesting Pokemon. I would like it to be back and forth, but I would also like it to be like fast with the action, because then that is what is bringing the excitement to that match. Whereas something like Worlds is one-sided, but the excitement of the match is already there. We're about to crown a world champion.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's context dependent every round, and on how to answer this question. I think, to me, like, my first thought on the question was like, would you prefer longer animations or shorter animations as a caster? I'd actually prefer a consistent amount of time between turns more than fast or short animation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that is what
Yes.
helps commentary more, is if you know the two players are going to take at least 30 seconds to make a decision between turns every time, compared to, let's say we got, I don't know, Tang and Brady on stream right now, and like, one time Tang takes 43 seconds to pick, and then the next turn he takes 7, and then the next is 32, and the next is 11, and it's like, that's very tough to navigate on commentary, especially on if you're trying to build a story, or the color caster's trying to set up the board as you don't have a lot of times. I think one thing that also really impacts commentary pacing is the generational gimmick. For example, pretty much back in Gen 7 with Gen Z, like, it was whenever we were working with that, when I was working with Critical Hit or anything, like, the whole crew, we always kind of had like a somewhat of a rule that whenever somebody would use a Z move, you toss to the color caster, because it would take like 15 seconds, and there's not much for the play-by-play to really talk about besides they clicked Gigavolt Havoc, right? Like, it's very hard to set that up, so at least they can say, like, if they target the correct slot here, blah, 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 and that really helps with the pace of it, compared to Dynamax or Megas, or usually, Terra, which all these things happen at the beginning of turns. That's really hard if the color caster goes on a 40-second thing about what's going to happen and why that was a good play, and then we have 2 swaps and then 2 terrors of the states, and it's like, those are really tough to deal. So I think longer, slow animations are not really, we make it the best that we can. We figure out, I have no preference in either one of those. It's just the amount of the pacing between turns for it, and the end of turn stuff too. Sometimes, Sierra, it just kills me with like how long it actually takes from when a Pokemon's health bar hits 0 for them to actually get knocked out. Can be like 8 seconds sometimes, with the additional text that comes up. And like, I think some of those I find difficult on commentary, trying to keep those times exciting or precise in my casting. But if I had to choose long or short, I would say I don't mind the long animations, because it, in theory, gives us more time to set up the plays.
Yeah, and I think too, this is a question that would probably vary from caster to caster based off of style, right? So we're both play-by-play casters, but we also inherently have a very different style of play-by-play. Like, I really like to try and incorporate analysis in, so I don't mind the longer times too, as long as there actually is going to be something happening from it. If it's analysis into Gholdengo has to terastallize here to do this, blah, 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 and then it comes to me and the Gholdengo is terastallizing, there's not really much to analyze within my play-by-play. If it's a terastallization that's not expected, that is then like, we're like, okay, like, we've set up this turn, blah, blah, blah. Our Gholdengo is going to do so much damage into this Pokemon. But then the other Pokemon terastallized to where it's not, so it's going to survive. Then I like having that extra time, because then you can kind of start building up the turn. Okay, my analyst said all of this, but now this is going to derail all of this. Let's start setting up into how it's going to, right? Because like, I don't mind getting into that as long as it's actually an interesting point to be bringing up, right? But if you're trying to do like a calling what's happening, there's nothing happening during the terastallization. It's terastallizing, right? So then it's a very particular style for each caster. Each caster, even within like the same role, all has different styles, right? So it's going to be something that is different for each person. So that's definitely it. I think too, something, because you said like you would like the timings of the beginnings of turns to be consistent, including at the ends of the games. I feel like that is the one that could derail a cast more than anything, because of how sometimes you're like, there's one Pokemon to be KO'd, but then the person forfeits the turn. So like you're setting up the play-by-play into calling the winner into with only one Pokemon left on the field and two Pokemon to outspeed, hitting the Shadow Ball. The natural next is, I don't know, Gholdengo goes down and so is your regional champion. But if it forfeits, then it kind of like it
Yeah.
derails it for half a second. It's still an easy enough fix, blah blah blah, with two Pokemon, blah blah blah. This player recognizes there is no win, but I feel like it's not as like epic to say like they throw in the towel or they realize there's no win as much as one Pokemon left. They can't get it done. A single barrage of hits, and that is it. The last stand has been taken down, and with it, the regional champion, right? So one of those things. Or like if we're in a game 2 and it's being drawn out to think, then there's not really much to talk about then, because then we all know the match was over 3 turns ago. I think for the player, of course, doing what's right for them to be able to go into a third match prepared is always the right decision, right? I'll never like, oh no. But it's like, as a caster, those moments are hard because you've already said 3 turns ago that X person has won this match.
Yep.
So there is nothing else to talk about. And if you start talking about what could be done in game 2, now in between the games, you have nothing to talk about because you already talked about it, right? So that makes it just a little bit difficult in terms of like setting up like a proper like a story, right?
Yeah, I think I think so. These are obviously, this is a job where we are just inherently on the fly. We have to adapt to talk quicker, talk slower, to expand amount of points, or to move on quickly. And I think for me, I always think that like the most difficult commentary I think was 2016 with Mega Evolution at its slowest animation, and then and also the primals. So like people like you could very commonly on commentary have turn 1 of a game be 50 seconds of animation without any, and you just did 45 seconds between turns waiting for the moves, right? On turn 1, and then they swap and Kyogre Primal evolves and Mega Kangaskhan and then the weather changes and then the Groudon does too, and then the weather changes again and then they Mega Evolve into their Salad. Like it was that was really tough. I think Dynamax had difficulties there too when it would take so like every time, like to try to have good conversations and good narratives during those times. But like we ultimately we work as a team. We figure out that pacing back and forth, when to toss and during the middle of an animation verse. Like even not even that, like sometimes, like especially in 2016 or even Dynamax, like a lot of times you would just let the color caster talk through the animation, even though they, whatever Landorus with Dynamax, like you would just catch up after they were done talking. Like just continue to let them hold the conversation, and then you start up once on play-by-play when the action starts.
Yeah, like for myself, like it's definitely also, working with a partner, like because I normally like the analysis to either end a few seconds before the turn starts, so then I can start kind of analysis into play by play, or after the turn starts, which sounds funny, but handing it off right when it starts is like a cold start. It is still possible, right? Again, a lot of this is like on the fly, it's improv, etc. And that's what makes casting really exciting, is it almost feels like a puzzle to like solve which way is going to be the best to really properly represent this moment, right? But like if they give it to me before and I'm in analysis and I see terrestrialization play out, then I can analyze through the terrestrialization before I get into play by play, which then is a smoother transition for me. If they still have it and the move starts, like the turn starts playing out and terrestrialization is the first thing to happen, then they can keep talking while the thing happens and then pass it to me after. So I have then laid out the stakes, but terrestrialization is going to change this because now all of a sudden this Gholdengo isn't going to pick up this one hit KO. And then I could be like, so how much damage is it going to do? What's going to happen? And like pick up from there, right? So that's like the preferred like timing for myself. But again, it's like every match is just, it's so particular in every single match, right? So
yeah, and you learn players' tendencies too, right? Like over time, the players that click fastly versus the ones that take the full 45 seconds every turn. So usually you know what you're getting into by the end of the set, how you can pace out the turn. So to answer your main questions, is the animations are not as relevant or important to our pacing as the actual action in the match.
Yeah, but on the like to answer with just a yes or no, would prefer on the longer side as
Yes,
opposed to
agreed.
the shorter time normally. But like that again is so specific to like the circumstance and everything else, right? So yeah, that was a big
That was a good
conversation.
one. That
That
was
was
a
a good
good
one,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. Shout outs Pluto. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fun one to get into. But hey, yeah, no casting for us for a little bit. Pittsburgh again, the hosting job for me. If anyone here is going to not Pittsburgh, Milwaukee.
There you go.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, hosting in Milwaukee. Almost said Pittsburgh
You
again.
almost
I almost said it again. It's okay. Me and
You need
Lee,
your-
while
you need your
were
next
casting the
team.
GC, and it was Terra flying that happened. And I was like, I'm this Terra fairy. And then I'm like,
Oh no.
and I'm like, that's just the wrong thing. And then he went and he tried to say
And he said Terra Fairy?
Terra Fairy as well. And he's like, what?
He's a
Wasn't
good
even
teammate. That's
yeah,
why he fell on the
was just
sword.
it was just really funny because it was just like there was no reason why to say Terra Fairy there. I could see it. And then yeah, he just did the same thing. Like, I don't know. But if anyone is going to Milwaukee, safest of travels there. Best of luck at the event. If you're playing Maushold, hopefully you can prove me wrong and you can in fact and within like the top 4 win the event, etc. If you're watching, say hi in the Twitch chat, etc. Joe Round will be watching. If you made it to this point of the episode, thank you so much for listening to us yap. We'll be back next week for our next episode of OHKO. But until then, take care. We'll see you all soon.